Some things are almost too obvious to mention. But here's one I'll mention despite its obviousness. The world is far from perfect. Everything we see, everything we touch, everything we hear about is damaged. Turn on the news and you'll hear about the world's big problems. Talk to your family and you'll hear about the world's small problems. And look inside yourself, you'll find problems big and small. We all learn to deal with the world's problems in different ways, but what's really interesting is how we all see the evil and suffering around us as problems. Something inside us tells us that the world should not be the way that it is. We long for something better. And that desire for something better points us toward a bigger reality. Here's why. When we're hungry, that desire is filled by food. When we're tired, that desire is filled by sleep. We just don't have desires that can't be filled, so our desire for something better must be a pointer to the fact that something better is out there. According to the Bible, that something better is in our past and in our future. We'll start with the past. You see, God created the world perfectly. We were made to live in a perfect world with a perfect relationship to God and a perfect relationship to each other. The problem is that we chose to sin. We chose, and we're still choosing, to ignore God's instructions for how to live, and the result of our sin is damage and destruction. We damage our relationship to God, we damage our relationships with each other, we damage the world at large, and the damage keeps on growing. In short, we've made our world and ourselves a mess, and now we're living with the consequences. But God isn't content to leave us with the fair results of our own self-created problems. God sent Jesus right into the middle of this mess, and Jesus, by his death and resurrection, offers new life. When we see that Christ has accomplished for us what we could never accomplish for ourselves, we look to him instead of trusting our own efforts to fix ourselves and our relationship to God. For those who trust in Jesus for that new life, and the Bible calls that trust faith, Jesus restores our relationship with God and brings healing to our relationships with each other. We're still in a messed up, broken world, but now we can experience renewal and restoration. But the story doesn't stop there. God promises to one day set all things right and to recreate the world for good. But in the meantime, God sends those who are restored and healed by Jesus back into the world to bring healing. In other words, as we wait for God to make everything right, we're used by God to make things right. We become a picture of the good that God will ultimately bring to all creation in the future by bringing good by God's power to creation in the present. So to review, God made things good. We sinned and made things bad, and Jesus came to restore our relationship with God by forgiving the sins of those who trust him. Now Jesus sends those faithful ones back into the world to bring healing to other people. So which of these circles is where you're living? We'd all like to say the first one, but things are much too messed up for anyone to believe that everything around us is good. Maybe you identify most with the second circle. You know just how messed up your life is, and you're longing for some hope. If that's you, Jesus offers forgiveness and a new life, and not just a clean slate, but really a new life. He offers to forgive your sin and to renew your heart if you put your trust in him. He offers to heal you by restoring your relationship with God. If that's you, if you're thinking that the second circle describes you perfectly, I urge you to stop trusting yourself to make things better. Because you've seen your efforts to make things better, my effort to make things better, ultimately make things worse. Stop trusting yourself and instead trust Christ. Maybe you identify most with the third circle. Maybe you've experienced the healing that comes from faith in Christ. If you're in circle 3, don't stop there. Move to circle 4 and bring the message of Christ to others as you work to heal the world through Christ's renewing power. God's big story is full and rich, and he intends you to live it from beginning to end. Won't you step out in faith and join God in what he's doing in the world? Will you live your part of God's big story? And will you start today?